The Ides of March never made much of an impression on my family. Julius Caesar may have had reason to worry, but not us. We had already passed the test months earlier. After all, we had Elul. Every August, my mother would tell me, my grandma Minnie of blessed memory would solemnly intone, "Es geht schon auf Elul." Some of you Yiddish speakers out there might want to correct both my pronunciation and my translation, but according to my mother, the words meant, "The month of Elul is fast approaching," and the tone of the voice meant, "Beware." Since the Hebrew month of Elul coincides with the end of summer, we were always able to identify with the sentiment. We were back to school, back to work, back from vacation, back to routine and stress and everyday concerns. The pounding of the surf was transformed overnight to the pounding of the pavement. We were back, and all the people and the problems we deferred until after Labor Day were sitting on our doorsteps. Ever since I became a rabbi 40 years ago, I particularly appreciated my grandma Minnie's words, for after all, once Elul arrived, could Tishrei, the beginning of the Jewish year, Rosh Hashanah, be far behind? The beginning of Elul meant the beginning of my busiest season professionally. 1 month to get everything done, 1 month to complete sermons, services, planning, 1 month to get everything in order. Who could not fear Elul? And yet perhaps her words were not quite so simple to understand. After all, Elul doesn't always arrive at the same time on the secular calendar. Sometimes Elul overlaps almost entirely with the month of August, other times with September. So sometimes Elul marks the end of summer, and other years it marks a fall season which has already begun. Furthermore, Grandma Minnie, the wife of a poor peddler, did not spend her summers at Rehoboth. For her, August and September probably seemed very similar, cooking and cleaning and taking care of her family. And in fact, the fall may have beckoned as a more appealing time, with hints of cooler weather in those pre-air-conditioned days, and the children back in school. So why did Elul seem so ominous? Grandma Minnie was thinking in Jewish terms, of course. For her, Elul meant it was time to get ready psychologically and spiritually and even materially for the upcoming high holiday season. Would there be enough food on the table? Would there be enough money to buy new shoes for her daughters? Would she pass muster before God again this year? Es geht schon auf Elul. Elul's almost here. It's time to face up to reality, to confront once again the big questions. What a challenging thought. Our Torah reading cycle, of course, anticipates this crisis. For the fourth Shabbatot of Elul, we are inundated with the continuing clamor, content, and challenges of the book of Dvarim, Deuteronomy. The Parshiot include heady, obsessive lists of rules and directions meant to establish a juridical structure in a new homeland, and destined to keep Jews in line in a diaspora which would stretch on for over 2 millennia. These portions overwhelm us with precise detail, leavened with abstract admonitions which prick our consciences. An old story, pre-GPS times, relates that a traveler convinced he was on the wrong road stops in a village. Calling one of the villagers to the car window, he said, "Friend, I need your help. I'm lost." The villager asked him, "Do you know where you are?" "Yes," said the traveler. "I saw the name of the village as I entered." The villager nodded his head. "Do you know where you want to be?" "Yes," the traveler replied, and named his destination. The villager looked away for a moment and then said at last, "You aren't lost. You just need directions." Deuteronomy contains myriads of directions in this month of Elul. The spiritual vacation ends, so to speak, when Elul does. No wonder my grandmother was so worried. It was time to get serious again about the seriousness of being Jewish. As Rabbi Chaim Listfeld once wrote in a comment on the high holidays, always seeming to be either early or late, but never on time, quote, "The truth is, the question is not whether the holidays are ready for us. The question is, are we ready for the holidays?" What a terrifying thought. Although we usually understand the task of Elul to be repentance, it is also about repair, renewal, and recommitment. And it is justice that leads the list, that takes precedence. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. Justice, justice, you shall pursue. The never-ending quest. On the high holidays, we gather as a collectivity, either in person or in virtual reality this year, atoning for our collective sins. Elul is the month of individuality, of personal recollection and regret, of quiet meditation and introspection. May each of us arrive at Rosh Hashanah ready to pursue more justice, to do more mitzvot, to be the Jews we are really meant to be. Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav taught, "The sun is very big, but if a person puts one small hand over his eye, he can block out the entire sun." The purpose of Elul is so that the person can learn how to remove his hand, so he can see the sun in its glory, and that he can see himself by its light. No matter when the month of Elul arrives, at least according to the Gregorian calendar, it is always just around the corner. Grandma Minnie would not have been at all surprised. Shana Tova.